that we give the advice to young people often to follow their passions. Just follow your passions. It'll take you where you need to go, and follow your heart, and which, is beautiful. But this woman was talking about how passions are like the bonfire burning on the hill like a beacon. And we don't get that. Like, that's not usually the kind of feedback we get in our lives, is like the huge, lightning bolts. But rather we get the subtle messaging. And so she was recommending, instead of giving advice or taking the advice of following your passions, rather follow your curiosities. And the curiosities whisper at you all day long. If you're paying attention, if you're present, if you're really mindful to what you are experiencing, curiosities are there. And it's so much easier to just say, follow this little thing you're curious about, than look for the grand, huge, big fireworks in the sky. And so I like it. And so I thought I'd share, just when I got that advice yesterday, I thought it was such beautiful advice, that really, if we just keep going down the rabbit holes that interest us, we grow. And whether that turns into a life path of relationships or career or where you live or whatever, that's all will unfold as it should. But I love the idea of just following your curiosities. And I think this can translate a lot to yoga as well. Oftentimes, our practices, I mean, of course, I'm sure all of you have had the moments on your mat where you've had either a very profound release of some kind, or a profound moment of deep connection with yourself, or suddenly your body feels like, wow, I did that and I couldn't do that before, or something like that. So you can have fireworks in your yoga practice, and the grand bonfires on the hill, but more often than not, it's the daily rhythms of habit, of coming home into your body and just doing repetitive things, but with fresh energy, and noticing this moment and noticing this moment. And I think that gentleness around paying attention to your curiosities can live in our bodies when we do our practice as well. So, dog pose, you've done a million dog poses in your life, but what's curious and new about this dog pose right now, this posture that you're in right now? So let's see if, while we're practicing today, we can ignite that sense of curiosity within us, and recognize that this is a gentle path for us to just keep following. And there's wisdom in following curiosity. All right, so um, let's close our eyes and have a moment of grounding yourself into the beginning of your practice. All right, so whatever position you're taking, maybe you're lying down, maybe you're standing up, maybe you're sitting like I am, whatever it is that helps you to just stop in your tracks and live inside your breath. As you find yourself coming home into the breath, can we be curious, even here, just a curiosity of what the breath feels like this morning? Is it shallow or deep? Have a sense of freedom, or is there restriction? Fast or slow? Do you feel at ease or labored? See if you can pay attention to the subtle little things that happen as you breathe. Notice the sensations around your nose, in your sinuses, in your trachea, in your bronchioles, and all the way into your lungs themselves. Notice both what happens in those places on your inhale, and in your pauses, and on your exhales. Here you are, just being curious about your breath. Move your awareness perhaps somewhere in your body. What are you noticing first? Anywhere, just follow where piques your interest first. Just pay attention and notice how you are this morning, and whatever you're paying attention to, whatever you're noticing, be curious about sensation, be curious about lack of sensation. And can you drop your awareness down into your pelvis and feel the groundedness of your legs? See if you can pay attention to the belly and the pelvis, allowing the breath to move these parts of your body. Notice a deep sense of stability and grounding when you breathe deep and low. When you move, pay attention if there's any part of your body that's catching your eye with discomfort. If there's a place that needs tending in your body today. And if you notice something, kind of just mark it so that you pay attention and be curious about what that is throughout your practice today and see how things shift and change. Let's bring our hands together at our heart and feel this mudra. Let it be centering to you. Feel the breath, feel the body, feel the mind. Place an intention here. Ask yourself what you need. Release your hands. All right, let's find our way coming onto our back. Okay. So as you stretch out and lengthen, of course, much of what we do on the mat can be very repetitive. But see if you can enjoy that kind of a sense of coming home to familiarity in your body, but also novelty. So pay attention and notice where something might pique your curiosity. All right, so stretch your arms overhead if it's comfy. Reach through your body, maybe reach the right side a little longer and then the left, and just enjoy what it feels like to open up your limbs. Bring your knees into your chest and enjoy a little bit of rocking, and notice your spine, notice your hips. And let's hang on to the knees and circle here a little bit, rolling in one direction. Pay attention to your hip sockets. Notice your hip joints themselves. See if you can give some ease. Go the other way. Notice how the other way might feel less normal, less familiar, less rhythmic or comfortable or smooth. Pay attention now and open up your knees away from the middle and bring them back in, and notice any creakiness or snaps or pops or anything that might be happening in your hip joints. Maybe your hip joints feel really good and there's a nice, smooth, easy motion through that range. Right knee into your chest, left leg coming long on the ground, and feel into the movement of your ankles, rolling around here, wiggling your toes, a good squeeze of your knee. Let your head drop down and soften your shoulders. Switching sides, left knee in. How's this feeling this morning? Roll around in your ankles and wiggle your toes. Say hi to that new sensation that you're cultivating just by moving, creating movement in small joints. All right, stretch your limbs wide, feeling that over expansive feeling of stretching out. Roll around in your wrists and roll around in your ankles, and maybe open and close your fists and wiggle your toes. And then when your exhale comes, draw your knees into your chest and pick up your head. Okay, one more time. Starfish your body out wide. Enjoy getting big and spacious, and then enjoy getting small and snug. Pick up your head, hug your knees in. Put your head back down onto the ground, arms out to the side. Let's windshield wiper our knees. Just a little gentle twisting. Feel free to take this deeper if your body is wanting deeper. All right, then let's go ahead and bring our right thigh, cross it over our left thigh, and draw your knees toward your chest. Sense in, maybe a little movement feels good, a little rocking or a pulsing, maybe stillness feels good, but open up those hips a little bit. Breathing deeply and release and relax those legs. Bring your legs straight up in the air. Maybe the arms come overhead. Maybe the arms are down at your sides. Flex and point your feet while you're here. Just kind of waking up the calves a little bit. Find that stability through your core. Knit your ribs down toward the ground. Open up your legs wide like a V. Breathing deeply. Reach your arms overhead if they're there, or just lengthen your spine if your arms are down by your sides. Inhale and bring your legs back to center. Twice more. Open your legs wide, knit your ribs down toward the ground, and then bring your legs back in. One more time, legs out to the side, feeling that openness in your hips. Bring your legs back in. Slowly lower your legs down to the ground. You can bend your knees at any moment. Feel that reach in your body when you get down toward the ground, and then bring your feet back onto the earth. Cross left thigh over right thigh and draw your knees toward your chest. Perhaps some pulsing of knees toward chest, perhaps a little rocking side by side. What do you need to kind of open up your hips a little bit here? And then relax. Let's take Supta Baddha Konasana for a minute. Soles of the feet together. Allow your knees to fall down toward the ground and pay attention here. Be curious what you're finding. When you relax your glutes and really soften and let your legs fall, do you have the internal sensation that one knee is dropped lower than the other? Do you have a hip that feels a little tighter or a little more locked? Just pay attention to what's here. Take a deep breath in. And if you do have that overwhelming feeling that one knee is like significantly lower, take your hands behind your head and lift your head with your hands and look at your knees. And is your internal sensing the same as what your vision is showing you? Is one knee truly much lower, or is it just a physical sensation? All right, let's go ahead and pick the knees up. Bring them in toward your chest, a little rocking to and fro. Relax your back. And then we'll roll to our side and come up to your hands and your knees. As you find your way onto all fours, have a moment to ground yourself and then enjoy moving your spine. Start with some cat-cows. Okay, so as you feel that movement through your vertebrae, enjoy every little step of the way. See if you can pay attention and notice each vertebrae as they ripple open in one direction and as they ripple open in the other direction. Pay attention to how your breath is moving. Such a beautiful thing to do every day. These cat-cows, such a great thing to keep our spines supple. And then anything you want. You don't have to stick with the cat-cow. You can move your spine around in all sorts of movement patterns. Make sure you're breathing no matter what you're doing with the spine. All right, and then drop back towards child's pose when you're ready and take a deep feeling in your hips. So try to drop deep into the hip joints. Walk the hands far out in front of you and open up through your ribs. A big breath down your spine. Let's walk the hands
over to one side of the mat and feel that lengthening through your side body. Try to get the feeling to gather all the way from your fingers to your hips. Where is it absent? Where can you bring breath? Back the other way, lengthening through that side, dropping your hip down, feeling the groundedness of the pads of your fingers. Invite in your breath. Come back to center, up onto all fours again, ground yourself. Let's lift an arm up in the air and thread the needle, taking a twist. Breathing deeply and fully, let your head drop down and relax on the ground. Fill and empty your breath. And then when your body's ready, lift that arm back up in the air. Feel that extension, hand comes down onto the ground. Switching sides, lifting arm up. Exhale, sliding your arm under. Enjoy the subtlety of your sensation. Be curious about what you're feeling. How is your breath? And when you're ready, let's lift that arm all the way back up in the air again. Hand comes high, and then release your hand down. Lift to a dog pose, and now we get to feel our legs too. So take some time to pedal through your feet and say hello. Try to sense the bottom of your feet all the way up through your Achilles, the calves, the hamstrings, the boots. Just sense the whole back line if you can. Feel the rooting into your hands. Index finger mounds find the ground. See what it feels like to have that support of your shoulders and your rib cage, so we're not falling toward the ground with our chest, but instead lifting the chest, the heart up toward the pelvis. Relax your neck and soften your face. Then walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana, a deep forward fold. Relax your head. Shake around in your ribs if you like. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine is growing long. Feel the bottom of your feet all the way up to those sit bones again. And then exhale. Let your breath come deeply out. Push through your feet on your rising up with your breath. Reaching your arms to the sky. Open your heart. Maybe lean back a little bit. Feel that open heart again. Let's cactus our chest open. See if you can feel the back body, get a little bit of energy, a little bit of squeezing in the muscles of your back. Arms back up. One more time. Wide arms. Hug the back body a little bit. And then exhale and round in forearms. Come to touch, chin to chest. Interlace your fingers. Arms straight up. Point your index fingers up toward the sky. Tip your head back so your ears are just beyond your arms, and lengthen up and back. And then exhale and slowly lower yourself down. A halfway lift, spine gets longer, feeling that extension. Blocks are nice if you want them. Exhale and melt. Let's step the left foot back, come to a lunge. Feel your way into this warming posture that we almost always do. Feel the collarbones broaden. And then begin to move. We'll straighten the front leg and we'll bend it. So we're feeling our way into that mobility of your hips and knees, the lengthening of our hamstrings and our hip flexors. You can even lift your toes up if you'd like and tuck your chin. This not only stretches open the hamstrings and the calves, but it's a really good stretch for your sciatic nerve. Round yourself in a lunge here. We're going to hop up onto your left or right foot and come into half splits. Feel that extension in your body. Lift your right hip high, start to feel that hip working hard to stabilize you. Breathing deeply. As you exhale, drop down to a Jiva squat. Squatting down, let your head relax. Push so slowly so you can feel your hips working for the posture. Standing splits. Twice more. Exhale, drop down into that one-legged squat. Bow your head. Inhale, push your legs straight. One more time. Exhale to squat. Inhale to rise. And step all the way back, crescent lunge. You can always plant the back heel all the way down on the ground if you need some stability. Vera 1 is always an option. Reaching the arms up to the sky and feeling that extension. Breathing deeply and fully. All right, hands come down onto the ground, back to a dog pose. The spine gets long again. Feel into that freedom and spaciousness. And when you feel ready, come forward into a plank and hold yourself here. Drop your shoulders away from the ears. Integrate into the core again. Find your breath. Pushing the ground away. Knees can come down. Find the earth. Roll the shoulders a little bit. Loosen things up back there. Inhale for a cobra pose. Chest is open and broad. Exhale, melting back down. One more time. Inhale, lifting on up. Exhale, lowering back down. Up onto your hands and your knees. Give your spine a moment. Maybe you want to wiggle or sway. From here, you can just bring your left foot forward, or if you want to, you can lift up into a dog pose and bring your left foot forward, whatever feels right to your body. Feel that extension, the hip flexor. Remember, your back knee can always come down onto the ground. Opening up through that hip flexor, and then let's start to move when you're ready. Straightening the front leg, bowing the head, square hips, bending the knee. Remember that fullness of your spine as we move here. We're not letting our spine round too much. We're trying to get that extension. Feel free to pick up your toes when you straighten your leg, if that feels good in your body. Round your legs here. We're gonna hop up onto that left foot. Feel that extension in half splits. Lift your left hip high. Engage your core. Feel your glutes strongly. Breathing deeply. Full inhale, a full exhale. Be present for your practice. Let's Jiva squat here. Tuck down on the exhale. Or maybe you prefer the inhale. I prefer the exhale, but see what feels right for you. Inhale, rise to a half splits. And come back down, Jiva squat. Allow your head push through your foot. Feel the working in your hips. One more time. Squatting down. And pushing straight legs. Let's have faith that the ground is back there. Step back. Adjust your legs. Vera 1 or crescent lunge, your choice. Reaching the arms up to the sky. A full breath. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Feel that groundedness in your legs. Reach and extend upward. Full breaths. Keep finding those full breaths. Release the hands down onto the ground one more time for a dog pose. Let's take our feet hip width apart. Isometrically drag your feet apart so you feel that outer chain of your legs opening up and strengthening. And then relax that. Come forward into a plank, holding that sturdiness. Imagine a block between your thighs, between your shins. Drop your shoulder blades down the back and root into the index finger mounds and thumb mounds a little bit more. Knees to the ground, find the earth. Let's take our legs wide on your mat so your big toes can feel, you feel them touching the edges of your mat. Put your hands under your head for a moment and just lift your legs up. Toes are pointing down. We'll do this twice. This time toes down. And then exhale and release. Turn your legs out into an external rotation. Let your inner kneecaps kind of find the floor. So we're finding those inner knees. Inhale, rise up with your legs, head down. Feel those work of the outer hips again. Exhale and relax that. Bring your knees back to neutral. Pick up your feet and windshield wiper your knees. Full breaths. While we're here on the ground, let's lie down on our right side. Stretch, if you can, your right arm underneath you on that same line. So we're on a slack line here, one long line with our body, stacking our ribs, stacking our hips. So we're not rolling back, we're just stacked. Take a deep breath, reach the left arm up in the air. Press your right leg firmly into the ground. Engage your core. Find that drawstring, the mouse hole, lift of your side waist. Breathe deeply and lift your leg up in the air, toes pointing forward. Press your right leg as you lift your left. The core is stabilizing you the whole way. Keep your neck relaxed. Let your head rest on your arm. Find your breath. And then let's release and lower down. Let's roll to the other side and we'll be on our left now. So remember that feeling of a slack line that we're on a tightrope. There's just one straight line in your body. Okay, breathing deeply. Okay, stack everything up. When you're ready, lift your arm in the air. Let your head rest on your arm on the ground so that you're not using your neck to stabilize. Use your core to stabilize. Press your left leg into the ground and lift your right leg up. And notice, be curious, is this side easier, more challenging? Does it feel familiar or not? Can you stabilize through your core? Turn toes forward, breathing well. Notice if you want to rock back or forward, see if you can stay stacked. And then relax and melt. Come onto your back. Feel like I've been on a bridge pose kick, so let's just keep up with that. All right, ground the four corners of your feet. Find your breath. Climb onto the tops of your shoulders and lift your way into your variation of a bridge. Root the four corners of your feet and open the heart. Ground yourself. Feel the work of your legs. Wrap your femur bones with all your muscles. Open up across your shoulders. Breathe deeply. Press your arms down into the ground. Let your neck be neutral. Feel the spreading of your feet, all four corners down. Lower your body down to the ground. Do your shoulders a bit. Windshield wiper your knees left and right. Find your breath. Put your left foot on the ground, right foot on your left knee, and find a reverse pigeon pose. I know it's a little early for this posture, but we're going to get up to standing and do some hip work. So let's let our hips open up here. And you can rock or circle or be still, whatever feels right. Let your head rest. Breathing deeply. And when you're ready, switch sides, left foot on right knee. Grab onto your shin or your hamstring. Relax your head. Be curious, how is this side compared to the other? Is there any kind of compensating that you feel like you do? Do you rotate the pelvis? Do you hike one hip up? Do you tip to one side? What is the sensing of trying to accommodate if your hips are tight? And then release that. Stretch your limbs wide again. Open things up. Exhale, knees into your chest, roll to your side, and find your way up to a dog pose. And so notice your body opening up and waking up and coming home. It's a root to rise. Discover your breath. Let's lift the right leg up in the air and stack open that hip and feel your way into that psoas opening, the inner hip opening. Be mindful to not collapse too much in the left side of your arm. And then square up your hips and place that foot down onto the ground. Switch sides, left leg up. When you're ready, stack the hip. Open up through the belly, through the hip joint. Be mindful of your right shoulder. Relax your head. Big breaths. And then square up that leg again. Foot down onto the ground. Walk your feet forward onto Uttanasana. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Rising all the way up. Bringing the arms to the sky. Let's take our feet hip width apart and come down into a chair pose, but we're going to put our hands, we're going to lean forward and put our hands on our outer knees. Round your feet, big toe mounds, inner heels, rooting. Pull your feet apart, pull your knees apart, push into your hands and let your hands guard that so there's no movement. Find that work in the outer hips, extend through your spine. Now imagine yourself skiing. I don't know if any of you are skiers. I'm not a skier. But just lift your chest up a little bit. Keep pushing the knees, lift the chest up a little bit. Now let go of the knees and come into a full chair with your feet hip width apart. Extend your arms or bring your arms out wherever you want to be. See if you can still isometrically press your feet down and drag them apart. Find your breath. Inhale, stand all the way up, maybe onto your toes, have a little balance. And then exhale and relax your arms at your sides. Find your breath. Okay, we're going to turn sideways on your mat. Wide legs. Let's stretch open here. So turn your toes out and drop down to a deep low squat. You can lower your torso, elbows inside your knees. Let your inner groin stretch open. And just be curious, how is this for you? Any joints talking to you? Do you need to shore up any instabilities? All the way back up to stand. Grab a block. We're going to turn out to the right. Find your breath. Arms coming out to the side. Take a deep breath and find Viratu. And let's flow. Okay, so feel free to move your arms in or up or wherever you want. And you can straighten your leg a couple of passes so that we can just kind of get used to opening our hips in this way. And then when you're ready, find your posture and stay. Round your legs. Reach the arms or put them anywhere that serves. Soften your shoulders. Gaze out over your fingers. That feels good. Root into your feet well. Find your pose. Both legs grounding. Open up those hips. Okay, let's reverse your warrior. Arm up, extend the side body. Straighten your legs for a moment. And find triangle pose. Reach your arm down onto the block or onto your leg. Shoulders away from the ears. Stay rooted in your back foot. And just notice what is happening here. What's this pose offering to you? Is there anything you need to shore up? You know, a lot of times this pose can be tricky for people's backs and SI joints. So pay attention to the rooting of your legs, that external rotation in your front hip. Lengthen your spine. And then we'll come back up. Reverse your triangle pose so the legs are straight. And then find your way into Parsva Konasana. Stretch your arm overhead if it's comfy. You can always have your hand on your hip if you're conserving energy or protecting your shoulder. Breathing well. Now notice, be curious about this posture. Try not to slump and sink. Be light with your weight. Root into your feet. Let your legs carry you. Breathe deeply. Can you turn and open up the chest a little bit more? Can you feel that whole side body lengthen? Are your legs supporting you well? Is your knee tracking in line with your middle toes? And come all the way back up to stand. And bring your legs together for a moment. Let's stand in Tadasana and just pay attention. Full breath in, a long exhale. Notice the aliveness in your hips and in your legs. So much of the time, we spend a lot of time in our culture just sitting in chairs, sitting in cars. So just notice the dynamic nature of this kind of hip mobility, which we don't necessarily get a lot of that external rotation throughout the day. Okay, legs nice and wide. You can take your block with you if you used it for triangle pose over to the left. And this is a whole new side of your body. This hip and this hip are doing different things than what they just did. So pay attention, be curious about how your body enjoys this posture or resists this posture. Have a little bit of flow so you can just let your hip kind of get coaxed into the deep work of the standing poses. And when you feel ready, come into your posture, ground your legs. If it feels good, stretch your arms out. Maybe your arms want to do something different. Full breaths. Remember the breaths and see if you can keep the neck and shoulders passive and relaxed. Maybe not your shoulders, but your traps. Let them soften down. Hug your triceps up onto your bones. See what it feels like to reach into your hands. Find the grounding of your legs. Are you able to track that front knee in line with your middle toe instead of letting it cave in? Breathing, it doesn't matter how deep you go, find your stability before your depth. Reverse your warrior when you're ready, opening up the side of your body. And then we'll straighten the leg and find triangle pose. Be light on your leg or on your block. Turn and open your chest. The spine can get really long if you move your tail away from your head. Allow that left femur bone to nestle up into the hip socket and rotate externally. Root down through your feet. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Notice if you're turtlenecking. Come all the way back up. Lift into a reverse triangle pose. Lengthen through your side body, legs straight for a moment. And then bend your knee again and come into Parsva Konasana. You can put your hand on a block or your elbow on your knee. Stretch open through that right side. Get low if you can. Stay high if your knee or joints need that. Drop into your feet. Give the support work to the legs. Track open that knee. Engage through that outer left hip. Feel the deep rooting. Shoulders away from the ears. Spine long. Move the tail toward the back foot. Come to stand. Turn your feet straight. Let's rest for a moment. Wide legs. Come down, Pasrita. You can put your hands on the ground or on blocks. You can put your head on a block. Whatever feels nourishing to you. Unlock your knees. You want your femur bones up and back. Full breath. And we'll turn back to the front of the mat. Bring your legs to neutral and dog pose and just enjoy. Maybe you want to turn your toes in and find that internal rotation to release some of the strain in your hips. Be curious about what you're breathing and what your body's feeling. Come forward into a plank. Shoulders away from the ears, root down. Put your knees onto the ground, find the earth. Inhale, any back bend that you want. Could be a locust pose or a cobra pose or up dog, whatever feels good. And then eventually wiggle around your spine a little bit and then root down into a child's pose and let your hips soften into the posture. A full breath here. Back up. We're going to come into Vasisthasana, but in a a specific way. So we're going to be on our right hand. Line up your right shin, your right foot, and your left. I'm sorry, your right shin, your right hand, and your left foot, all on the same plane. Drop your shoulders away from the ears. This might be your Vasisthasana. Press your shin into the ground to work that hip. And then maybe, just maybe, and you can always take the right hand a little further out if you need to for some stability. Maybe you can lift your leg up in the air, toes pointing forward. Breathing deeply, engage your core, shoulders down the back. And then exhale, back onto all fours. Swivel around, maybe drop your hips to one side, drop your hips to the other side, let them release a little bit. And then we'll find the second side. So left hand, left shin is parallel to your mat and in line with your knee and your foot and your hand are all lining up on one tight rope. Okay, reaching the arm up, shoulders away from the ears, press your shin into the ground. Get a little courage to lift that leg up. You can always move your hand out a little bit more for some stability. Lift that leg in the air if you can. Press your shin. Engage your core. Flex your foot. Lift all the way from the hip. Open the chest. Tail long. Don't let your back arch. Exhale. Hands back down onto the ground. Melt into a child's pose. Rock a little bit if it feels nice in your hips. Breathing deeply. Lift up into a dog pose when you're ready. Stretch your legs, let them open. And then walk your feet forward. One more standing pose. Come up to stand. Grab a block. Half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. It's, obviously a tricky pose. You can do this pose against a wall if you need a little support. One of the most important things is to remember, we'll start with your right. Your right foot is pointing straight ahead, not turning in or out. Straight ahead. I don't have a lot of room, so I'm going to come right up into the pose, but you can start in triangle pose or Parsvakonasana or Virabhadrasana, or you can just come into the pose from here. We'll hop up onto our right foot, right hand on a block, just like in the Vasisthasana. If you need more balance, take your hand out to the side more on that block. Open up through your chest. Reach your leg in the air, stretch into your heel, tail toward the heel. Lift that whole leg from your hip. Engage your core. Shoulders soft. Stretch heart to hands. Unlock your standing knee. Find your breathing. Look forward, look down, look up, see where you want. Be curious about this pose. Notice if your back wants to arch, puff into your kidneys and lengthen your tail. Giant step back out the way you came in. You can always do this pose with your back against a wall. Do this pose with your foot on a wall. So you can take the balance out of it and just work with the posture itself. And then also, if you're working with balance, be okay with falling, be okay with wobbles, be okay with coming out and going back in. Just try to detach yourself from the results. Oftentimes, when we get so attached to results, we hold our breath, we grip, we guard, we compensate in ways that we shouldn't. So don't let the ego be the driving force. Right? Find your foot, point it straight ahead, hop up when you're ready. Take that left hand further out to the left if you need some support, a little more balance. Open up through your heart, femur bone back, unlock your knee. Lift that leg all the way from the outer hip. Be active of your foot in the air. Engage your core to support. Lengthen the spine. Notice if your back wants to arch. See if you can knit the ribs in. Find your breath. Lift that leg another inch. Soften your shoulders a little more. Keep breathing. Come out the way you came in and stand in Tadasana. So much good work in your hips today. Let's just stand and breathe. Look how good it's going to feel to stretch your hips in just a moment. But if you feel, be curious about what you're sensing. Is there fatigue anywhere in your legs or in your hips or any achiness? Or do you have a sense of groundedness? Like what's here? Now, lifting the arms up and wide. Exhale, floating forward. Let your back open up, soften. Melt your knees, melt your head. Inhale for a halfway lift. Relax. Come back down. Let's come all the way to the ground. Find child's pose. Knees can be close or far, whichever feels right. Arms can be down at your sides. The hands can be on your back. Arms can be overhead. Just sense into what your body needs and wants. Go ahead and find our way onto our back for a moment. We're going to do pigeon pose or reverse pigeon pose, but first I just want you to stretch your legs straight. Wobble your legs and just let them relax. You can reach your arms overhead if that feels good to just get a little side body stretch. And draw both knees into your chest for a moment. Relax your back. We're going to come into a happy baby pose. Grab your feet. A little bit of rocking if it feels good for your back. All right, from here you can come into reverse pigeon pose and put your right foot on your left knee, or you can come up and do a pigeon pose. So whichever feels better in your body. If you're in pigeon pose, remember to have support for your head, maybe a block, maybe it's your hands. Regardless of which posture you're doing, pay attention, be curious about your pelvis. Do you want to compensate by tipping to one side or hiking a hip up toward your shoulder? Notice your compensatory patterns and try to resist that. Come into neutral territory with your pelvis. Let your head relax no matter which posture you're doing. The breath is easy and slow. Start to stretch it out and get longer. Pay attention to those exhales. Know that the long exhales help to relax you. And then when you feel ready, we can come to the second side. If you're in reverse pigeon pose, left foot on right knee. If you're in pigeon pose, left leg comes in front, adjust, use props if you need them. Find breath. Whatever pose you're doing, our hips are square. We're trying not to hike up toward our shoulder or rotate with our pelvis. We want a nice neutral pelvis. Relax and melt the shoulders. Breathing deeply. Take your time. When you feel ready, you can stay there a little longer. We're going to find our way onto our back for a twist before Shavasana. So take a moment to come onto your back, put your feet on the ground, let your hips relax. Lift them up, scoot them to the right, knees up to the left. So just enjoy. Oh, open up your breathing. Of course, you can always do the variation where you straighten the top leg and grab onto your big toe or your calf to get a little more stretch in that outer hip if you feel like you need it. Come back up. Scoot your hips over the other side, drop your knees. Feel your way into the twist and breathe. And again, if you'd like to straighten the top leg and grab your big toe and keep your knees together and open up that hip a little bit more, that's fine. Whatever feels right. Come back up. Come to neutral. Feet on the ground. Let's lift your hips up and give your hips a little bit of a shake. And then grab your 2 blocks. We're going to start our Shavasana in a little bit of Supta Baddha Konasana. So if you know you like putting support underneath your knees, have that handy and ready to go. So we'll start with a little supported Supta Baddha Konasana. Of course, you'll get warm, get comfy, take any support that you need. And now you can stay here for just a few breaths, or you can stay here for a couple of minutes, whatever feels right in your body. And be curious about
Supta Baddha Konasana, are the blocks where you want them to be. Maybe put your hands on your low belly and let your body breathe into your hands. If you want to straighten your legs, do that. And deepen the breath. Notice the fullness of your breathing and how nice it is to take air in, let air out. Melt your body one more time on the ground. And then any movements that encourage you. Right now, I feel like wobbling my legs left and right. Maybe that might feel good to you. See what it is that you'd like to do in your body. Be very slow. And you come onto your side, take some time. Stay curled there for a breath or two. So you can not only feel your spine round and open, but also just that gathering of your practice. And find a comfortable seat. Your time. Once you feel a sense of grounding in your seat, open up into your breath again. Curious about how you feel. Bring your hands together. Let's offer our light, share your energy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.